Welcome to Fishbowl Sports. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Jalen. We are doing our here. Welcome to the show, Raging Fishbowl. By the way, we're going to talk about Deggs' suspension here. We're talking about all things Raging Cajuns, baseball and softball going on here on the Fishbowl here tonight. We're talking about Mac Deggs' suspension. We're going to talk about the matchup against Southern Miss coming up, Raging Cajun baseball, which I do need to move that tab up a little bit there, and Raging Cajun softball as well. The little ticker thing on the top part, all that good stuff there. So we'll see how it all goes here, and I could not do it without the one, the only, Jalen. Welcome to the show, Jalen.
Hey, I appreciate that welcome, Chief. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you, Chief. And hey, let's get it started.
So we also have some special guests right outside the window here of Fishbowl Sports Studio listening live here to this broadcast here. Mama Bird decided to make a nest a little bit close by underneath the porch area, which is kind of connected right outside the studio here. And yeah, if you hear some chirps in the background, that's what that is. So probably won't hear it. I got the room kind of like sounded out a little bit here, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But you can hear them in our living room, which is kind of funny in the early mornings. But yeah, there's four of them in there that we know of that we've seen heads pop out of. So that is something to kind of look at here too. But enough about the bird talk here. Bird watch is kind of gone because I made the comment to my wife. I'm like, I don't see that many wasps around here this year as much as like we normally do. Because I mean, I was like, I don't think I killed every single one of them around here. And no, like I've only seen like maybe two since like March. And I'm being honest, like it's usually like three or four, and they're trying to make nests on the carport. You know all that good stuff around here. But yeah. So with that being said, I think we found the reason why. Basically, birds like to eat wasps. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Um, but who's gonna eat who? Who's gonna be the bird? Who's gonna be the wasp this weekend here between the Raging Cajuns and the Southern Miss Golden Eagles here, Louisiana versus Southern Miss. Jalen, when you compare both these teams, what you think about both of them?
I mean, within the past couple of years, you've seen Southern Miss baseball be at the top of the Sun Belt, one of the sneaky teams in the nation at that. This Southern Miss team is really good this year. I think it's going to be a real tough series. Even if the Cajuns have them at home at the Teague, it's going to be tough, especially with that first game, not having Coach Deggs. I think that's definitely going to hurt the Cajuns. But hopefully that he's talking about the bird and the wasp. Hopefully the cages could be the wasp and get a good sting on the bird. So
Actually, I would rather be the bird. The birds eat the wasp. Um, But yeah, so they do have a midweek game against at Southeastern in the midweek there and going drive all that way to Hammond. And then you got Southern Miss at home, and then you got them Saturday and Sunday here. So I think in terms of context, if you're looking at RPI and you're trying to get, because April we're gonna be RPI watch every single episode that we do here. We're gonna be talking about RPI, thinking about what they're gonna need to do to get into the NCAA regional here. And I will say this live here on the Fishbowl: if the Cajuns win this series against Southern Miss, they will make a regional. I think it's gonna be that big of enough push there from Southern Miss with their RPI number. If they win 2 out of 3 against Southern Miss, I do think they're going to be in a regional when we start talking about regional play. And they're kind of like the team to kind of watch at this point here because they were one of those, like D1 baseball was kind of one of the teams to watch at the midweek, mid-season point there because it depends on how they can turn it around or not. I thought James Madison was a good opportunity for it to turn around. And then you know, I know Maddox Mandino was suspended 1 game as well in the series for that series here. So, but I mean, he'll be back for that weekend series against Southern Miss. I think it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how tomorrow night plays out for the Cajuns without Deggs being there. How it all kind of shapes out. Are they gonna still be as aggressive as they usually are, or is it gonna be toned down a little bit? It'll be kind of interesting to see how all that transpires and goes down and stuff. So I think that is something that we'll have to like look at whenever we start looking at this kind of situation here because that is something that I think we need to all look at it and just kind of see how everything plays out there. So Andrew Herman probably will go Saturday. Tillette might go Sunday. or Pruitt has been the Friday guy for a while, but we'll see how all that goes there. So who you thinking that like is this a season changing series for the Cajuns if they win 2 out of 3, Jalen?
Oh, it absolutely is, especially it being Southern Miss, who's right at the top of the Sun Belt. It absolutely is. It give the Cajuns some momentum that they actually been needing after losing these last couple of games, couple of series. And to have the win at home, it just I think it'll be awesome, especially if they're able to steal the first game without Deggs. I think if they can win that one and at least win one of the last two in the series, it's definitely going to be a huge game changer for the team going forward. And like you said, with RPI being the biggest thing we're going to talk about in April with the tournament coming about, yeah, this would be huge for Cajuns to win this series.
Well, Coastal's 11-1 in the Sun Belt Conference baseball standings right now, followed by Texas State 8-4, Southern Miss at 7-5. That rounds out your top three there. But you have UOM at 7-5 as well. Cajuns are 4-8 in Sun Belt play, so they definitely need to pick up some more Sun Belt wins here. But I'm not gonna try to be like, okay, like the season's over or anything. But you gotta start winning games at this point on because you gotta start putting pressure on these other teams. If you drop your last two, which was to James Madison, a series you probably should have won whenever you went over there because they wasn't playing. Um, James Madison wasn't a team like they're 6-6, okay, because like you were dead even with them. You shouldn't have lost that series. Because now you're putting yourself kind of behind the 8 ball here, trying to get some wins here. You got a great start, but then you've been in this slump for you know ever since that top 25 ranking. I've said that last week here that I think it has some kind of mental block on this team right now. But I do think that the pitching side of it, the middle relief position, the middle reliever isn't quite stepping up to the plate because you can get some great outings when you start it, but then you have one big inning and it kind of ruins everything for your team here. So that is something that we're monitoring, right? This isn't being like really overly critique or anything, but you just have to think that there's some kind of mental block or something going on, like, or you just try to figure out what worked before and get back to that lineup maybe before. Um, so like the hitting hasn't always been there. They've been more of a small ball team most of the year and getting hits at the right time. That's kind of like something that I think everybody's kind of noticed so far this year with this Cajun baseball team. They've been more small ball in terms of like not really hitting the home runs or power that you would expect from a Deggs lineup team, which Deggs is more of a hitting coach because he was a hitting coach at Louisiana. So that is something to kind of look at whenever you start doing it here. So, Jalen, what you think about this Southern Miss bullpen here?
I will say they have a great bullpen. I think they have some hitters on the team. This is why they right there at the top of the Sun Belt, like you said, right behind Coastal and Texas State. Uh, I think their pitching is good. Overall, they have Southern Miss does have a great team, and this ain't the first year, and it's the first time this year we said this. Um, but I think the Cajuns are right up there with those teams. They just had some close losses that they shouldn't have had. But hey, you know what? You can't go in the past. You got to keep looking to the present, towards the future. So hey, they just need to win now, and they'll be able to get to the goal they're trying to accomplish this year.
So they are like they're in the top 25 obviously, and that bullpen they have is very good here. So I think they have. So looking at their statistics from their Southern Miss's bullpen here, that's batting. I need pitching. So if we're just looking at pitching in terms of ERA as a, let's see. I'm trying to see if do they have this divided up into stats instead of just like straight up. Do they have any? I want to see how well they do away. We're gonna look at the away stats of Southern Miss here and see how well they do batting wise here. I mean, they have two guys hitting over 400 so far on the year, and they played 9 games. Played in. Let me see. They should have a. This seems kind of old. This one here. I'm like, wait. Oh,
Wait, what
because I
does?
haven't set to I haven't set to away. That's why. So in the 9 games, Joey Urban and Davis Gillespie, they're both hitting over 400. Their on base percentage is over 400 as well, but this team does a good job of getting on base. They have 5 guys over 400 on base percentage, and that is a key to like their success. If you have guys on base, you're obviously going to score runs, right? And getting really good chances to score there. So among those here, I mean they've on the road they've been very good here. They're both top two guys have hit over 4 runs, home runs apiece here. This isn't 9 games, so they're almost averaging between both of them. Like you're getting close to like almost a one home run from them a game between their top two guys. So that is something that if you're gonna give a home run to Southern Miss, you want it to be a solo shot because those 3 and 4 run home runs are really what kill you as a team here because that is the one that like that's the dagger in the heart that you really and the Cajuns can't afford to give up too many runs here because they haven't had the hitting to compensate for that too much there. So Jalen, how critical is it for I won't say for like the pitching side of the Cajuns to really show up this weekend in terms of like avoiding that dagger in the heart kind of shot that could potentially happen with Southern Miss coming to Lafayette and be able to and taking on the Cajuns.
Man, it's like I'm scared, but then I feel great about where the team is looking right now. So at the end part of this season, the thing about it is that Southern Miss coming to the T. The Cajuns are been playing great at home. Like you said, the away schedule is like, okay, what can they do? But right now, looking at this team, looking at the home record, I think they'll be able to. And and with Pruitt and the other pitchers, like they have, I think that's actually been more of a strength towards the end of this year. Because I think at the beginning we were trying to figure out who was going to be the guy. Like you said, the middle reliever has kind of been struggling. But if they're able to just pick that up and the closer, they're able to close these games, and hey, we're looking at a whole new team.
Yeah, like we're like if you look at it here, from top to bottom, the bullpen and everything else here. I do think that they have a very good opportunity here whenever you start looking at it here because of this bullpen here can kind of come together. It's the middle. It's the middle. Like that's the problem with the Cages pitching that has been during this slump and a little bit before then has been the middle relief position. That is something that has been kind of the problem the fish for the middle reliever and stuff. So that is something that you have to figure out getting into it. Like who's gonna have the stuff being thrown, right? Like who's gonna be throwing the pounding the strike zone and getting them to chase balls that they shouldn't chase here and limiting the errors on in the fielding side of it. If the Cajuns play good defense, I think they could beat Southern Miss. I think that's the key to this game here. I don't think they necessarily have to, because they haven't shown it all year. So they are who they are at this point here. When you start getting to April and stuff, you can basically cut like they're gonna improve. Not you basically are gonna flat line and be like who you are. So if you error wise can keep the errors down, you have a good chance at winning these games. I think this is something that we're constantly watching and we're looking at it and we're just like, okay, what does it mean for me? Like, do I think the Cajuns are gonna take 2 out of 3 against Southern Miss? Probably not. Even though I would love to see the Cajuns take 2 out of 3. I think realistically they're probably gonna take a game from them and it might be Sunday. I just don't know if they're consistent enough during this slump to get out of it here. But if they do get take 2 out of 3, which would be really good for them and it'd be really good for their RPI situation. So I kind of want to know what um let's start talking about the Warren Nolan situation here. So Warren Nolan's a good site to track live RPI stuff. And I know NCAA.com comes out Monday with their RPI rankings and stuff. But if you want to kind of like look and see where a team's actually really going at here, it, I mean, it's good just to track live numbers. I wish it would have an input where I could just like oh the what if situation because they kind of do a what if with the predictor here, but they're giving the results here. It's gonna probably so like the Cajuns live RPI right now is 46. Um, their predicted results are 58 right now. So let's see how it got this weekend here. Let's see. But they do have one error with this thing here. They have the random like McNeese game there that was rescheduled. They still have that as a game right now. It's got them losing midweek against Southeastern. They got Southeastern in midweek, and they got Southern Miss They, this weekend got them winning on Saturday, losing the Friday and Sunday game. I do think I kind of agree with the predictor. I do think they will win one game. I just gave it Sunday because I think that's going to be the one that you're going to have the best chance at because it's supposed to be the weakest arm of three starters. Then they got Troy right after that next weekend, so that's kind of interesting. And Southern Miss has an RPI of 16 whenever it comes to Warren Nolan, but like that all can change. All that can change very quickly, and just we'll just see what happens with all that there. Southern Miss is 6-4, and right now their RPI is 16 right now. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games here. Right now they're playing UNO New Orleans at home right now. In the top of the six, Southern Miss is. They're winning that one 2-1, or losing 1-2 actually right now. So you got to hope if you're the Cajun that you know the team you beat win, and the team that you lose to, but no, the team you lose to win and the team you beat win as well. You kind of want all that RPI stuff to go up there too. So um, I'm gonna tell you something there that I thought the Cajun would have got in the regional here. The last series that the Cajuns won, you have to go all the way back to South Alabama. That's March 13th through the 15th. So it's been a struggle. They got swept by Texas State. Lost 2 out of 3 against UOM, and you lost 2 out of 3 against James Madison. So they got the win Sunday, then they got the win on Friday against James Madison. I thought for a second they might be turning it around whenever they had that win on, not Friday, I mean Thursday. They had the Easter weekend, which I hope everybody had a happy Easter, by the way. Forgot to mention that in the open of the show. But yeah, but Jalen, like, if they win this series, let's say they take 2 out of 3, do you believe they make a regional this year?
If they win this, actually, that question, yes, I do. I really do because I think it's a big series. It's bigger. I think it's bigger than the James Madison, bigger than the ULM. Even though ULM's right there at the top. I mean, Southern Miss is a great ball club to get your groove back if you're able to win that series. I think, yeah, I think they'll make it to the regionals for sure if they're able to win a series against Southern Miss. It just builds so much with them if they win.
I think it can give them a big wave of momentum, and I think that's exactly like the kick started, right? To really start getting something going. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of one thing there. Now, I'm gonna ask you for your prediction. Do you think they win this series against Southern Miss?
Uh, Honestly, Chief, I don't. I just think that the way that they've been playing and just see the Deggs is going to be out the first game. I think that's huge. I think they'll lose 2 out of 3. I really do. But I hope they can prove me wrong. But
So, if we're comparing like resumes and stuff, so Cajuns at home, they're 14-6 at home and 5-7 on the road. They're not a very good road team. They're a lot better at home, so that's a plus in the Cajuns factor of pulling 2 out of 3 here. Trying to make the argument they're 14-6 at home. So if you're looking at Southern Miss, they're 7-4 on the road. I've always said it's easier to win at home than it is on the road, and they're 7-4 on the road, and their road they're let's look at their last like 3 road series and just see how well they've done. Because you're gonna be playing a lot of Southern so they won the series against Old Dominion. They had App State at home. Troy was at home. Arkansas State they lost that series 2 out of 3, which is very similar RPI to what the Cajuns have right now. But that's early in March there. So let's go back a little bit further. Louisiana Tech that swept them, and there's not really it's kind of interesting right now. So like win probability of their midweek game against UNO is UNO is projected to win this, and win probability is 66.5% at the peak. But it's baseball; things change real fast, real quickly too. So this is back to back series. Like it's this schedule really set up well for the Cajuns, I will say, because you're catching Southern Miss on the road. They're gonna be on the road 6 out of their last 7 games by the time Sunday comes around. So that does bode well better for you than it would be for them because they're that a lot of time on the road you only at home for 1 week. It's a lot on a person to be driving all over the place like that there too. So and coincide with their record being 7-4 on the road. So that does help the Cajuns out in terms of like the idea of taking 2 out of 3. I think they can do it. I think that road fatigue might get to them, and that's something that. But that builds you up whenever you start getting in postseason like stuff like those little runs like that when you're playing 2 weekends where you're playing 7 games on like 6 of them on the road and stuff, especially if you're a 2 or 3 or 4 seed when it comes to NCAA tournament time that you know you're not gonna be hosting stuff that really helped them out there too. But it also would I mean like Southern Miss isn't gonna be they should be hosting a regional, but where they are right now. That's what I think. I think that is something to kind of look at there. I mean, they're a very good ball club this year, so that's something to kind of look at there. Hoof. It's a whereas the Cajuns here they've had 5 straight road games and they're 1-3 here. So let's talk about the Southeastern game coming up in the midweek here. I think the Cajuns go on the road to Hammond and win. I think they'll actually pick up the win tomorrow night here. It would be a good win for them because live RPI for Southeastern is 59. So they do need as many of these top 60 RPI wins that they can get here. Because hopefully for the Cajuns, Troy wins this weekend because they can bring their RPI down from 72. They got Arkansas State at 55 as well. Looking at some like RPI spots, and you got Coastal at 13 here. The more times you play these like tougher teams, the better it's gonna be for you RPI wise. Even if you lose and stuff, but you want it to be, but you want to win a good chunk of them though too. You don't want to just lose every single RPI matchup. It doesn't work out well for you at all. All
That's
right,
so
let's
true,
talk.
though.
Yep. So it's kind of like the Cajuns. I feel right now are a bubble team. They definitely are like right on that bubble, and it could sway either way depending on. That's why I think the Southern Miss and this next two series are almost like you want to get 4 out of 6 of these because it's going to set you up really good for your back half of your May. You remember May's only a midweek, and this is your last full. This is the last full week of. I mean, not full week, full month of baseball. Excuse me. Before you get into that there, so that is something to kind of like keep track and see what's going on there because that is going to be one of those things that could be a very problematic thing for you there. So with that being said, there softball as well. Let's go swap the active topic down. Uh, so but before we start like going there, what you think about the Deggs suspension? Do you think it was too light, too much, or just right, Jalen?
I think it was just right. I think the way because I mean I understand when you're upset as a coach, but and I understand too sometimes going towards the other dugout it's not a good look. And he was upset, and even when a lot of people couldn't even really control him, honestly, and I can't say control him, but his mission was to go to that dugout and give them a piece of his mind, which every coach has the right. I think they did right to suspend the other guy too. So I think it was fair.
So my thing was the first base play. I know we didn't really dive in too deep with it here, but if you talk about that first place down the baseline, if they're in the baseline and you're a defender, you have a right to run them over. That's the way it's always been in baseball. It's like the catcher guarding home plate. If they're in the base runner's path, you're allowed to take them out. And maybe what was said afterward, they were like, okay, let's just cover our backs, suspend Mandino for a game. I think Mandino was in his right to do that. Like he's in the baseline. There's a way he could have tagged him without being in the middle of the baseline like that. That's my argument.
Yeah.
I think it could have been attack and that situation would have been completely avoided at all. But whenever you stand there like that here, and I mean, yes, I think Deggs did go a little bit too far into it and stuff, but there was obviously something said from that dugout. I have no idea what words were mixed up in there or whatever, but there was something that said that really ticked him off or something here. Because
Yeah,
gonna
absolutely.
bring the last time I seen a coach like that was Jay Johnson a couple of weeks ago with Kentucky. Um, he's like, "What, bro? You want to fight me?" Like, kind of like like you want to go like that kind of thing. I think if Jay would have I'm not Jay. But if Dags would have done something like that in that gesture of like in the tone of like Jay Johnson, you probably don't have no suspensions or anything, and the message would have
Mhm.
been like said out loud, like, "Hey, this is what's going on. What you think, Jalen?"
Yeah, absolutely. I think if it was in a different manner and just the way, just I mean, honestly, the way it looks, people out there, it looks like Deggs is just getting on at the like getting on the JMU dugout. But I didn't take it that way. I took it as if somebody said something, and the way the game was going and the way that play went, yeah, he was upset. I mean, visibly upset. So could he have maybe calmed down a bit? Yes, but I knew that somebody would get suspended after that altercation.
Yeah. So let's start talking about Louisiana softball here. Allison Habits, which kind of funny. She had the same thing and probably a little bit more fiery, honestly. Um, Whenever that happened, I'm trying to remember what game that was, and there was no suspension there. So I'm kind of wondering how like those are kind of like interesting. It was at home though too, so that might help out there too. You never know. So the
You
Cajun
never know.
softball team's gonna go travel tomorrow. Uh, 5 o'clock game against number 21 Virginia on the road here. They're coming off a home series win against Troy at Lampton Park over the Easter weekend. The Cavaliers, they're 31-6, and they had a 7-game win streak snapped by being swept by Duke. So the Cajuns are not catching them at a really good time, honestly, because they're gonna probably be rearing back and ready to go after the Cajuns here to prove that it's the first time that UL and Virginia have met since March of 2011, and that matchup was in Kissimmee, Florida. So that was a good long while ago. So if you want to catch the game, it's on ESPN Plus. So that will be something that will be interesting to see how it all breaks down and stuff here. So you want to talk about big series here? I mean, not big series, big wins here. Cajun softball does need a couple of them here because it's getting kind of close to the end with that because you're kind of in the point of no return basically. Trying to be as polite as I can. You just gotta win games. That's straight up the mantra. They're 5-7 in the Sun Belt. They need to win some games. And the Cajuns, they do have more power than they have last year, but it's just kind of been like, I mean, they got the series win against Troy. That was a good win here. They will play James Madison, so that is something that we're going to have to watch out for. They do get another chance at LSU at Lamson Park, and they get Coastal at home. So they'll play so their next 4 games are on the road. And I think they need to take 2 out of 3 against James Madison. I think that is something that they need. Like this team, I've been calling them Jekyll and Hyde the whole entire year, and I want them to break that cycle. But man, you got to give me a reason to believe it because every time I start trying to believe this team, they make me look like a fool. Uh, but yeah, let's. I'm trying. Like I'm putting my neck out there for them. Like I can't ever say I wasn't loyal to anybody, right? But man,
Right.
so they haven't won a. I don't think they have ever won a road series yet this year. I mean, they've played some good teams. Now, don't get me wrong, they played some like solid teams. They almost had a couple of big wins, like against Oklahoma. They did beat Texas A&M. They beat Ole Miss, and those are big wins to highlight your RPI schedule there. So, but speaking of RPI, let's pull that up into this conversation here, Jalen, as we're kind of getting deeper into this here season here. Right now, they're currently ranked 45. Their 1 through 25 RPI team is 2 and 6. 26 through 50 is 52, 5 and 2. I mean, and 51 through 100 is 5 and 8, which is crazy. The 51 through 100, which is usually the team that you would use typically, their RP versus RPI team is such a weird way because they have a winning record in like they're 7 and 8 against the top 50 RPI teams. But you look at their 51 through 100, that's really the area where they've struggled. And you would typically see that probably flipped around the other way, 8 and 5 or something like that. And they would have
Hmm.
their RPI would be a lot better here, and they would probably be in a top 30 RPI, I'm sure of, or 40 or somewhere around there. Like their road, they are not good on the road at all. They are 2 and 10 on the road, and that's putting it. Yeah, that's it right there. They have to get better at playing on the road, and that's something that comes down to coaching. And I mean, you could say that calling some stuff at bad times there, but I think they got to handle traveling on the road a little bit better. That's not a little bit better, a lot better to get back in there. So I think they'll lose tomorrow night against Virginia because they're not a good road softball team. They're not. This just what it is here. and I think that's kind of hard for them to get. So this is why I think James Madison series is critical. You could throw out all the records and everything else because that 2-10 road record, if they flip that and they can get 2 out of 3 against James Madison, it opens up a whole nother like thing here. And James Madison isn't they're not that great of a softball team like they normally are, right? They usually would have been a powerhouse team. They're 4-8 in the Sun Belt this year. So um yeah, like that is something there. They're coming off a series loss. They haven't won the only time they haven't won a Sun Belt Conference series since March 15th. Okay, they've won 2 out of 3 against Georgia Southern, and that was it. They lost to Coastal, a series against Coastal. They got swept by South Alabama. They lost 2 out of 3 against Southern Miss. So this is a very good series for the Cajuns to win on the road. This is a very good sign for them. So that is something that I do believe that if you're looking at it here, it this is kind of what it is. You're looking at the current standings of the Sun Belt for um, softball here. Marshall's leading the way 10-2. Southern Miss is 8-4. South Alabama's 8-4. The Cajuns are, they're usually at the top of this thing here normally, and it's kind of been like no last year was a drop off, and then you have like this year following it up here. It's not been too good. Cajun are 5 games back, so and you're playing the app. I think they should. Yeah, they're close to the bottom. I thought James Madison had been worse than Georgia State, but Georgia State 3-9. These are the games that you have to win in that regard there, and it's crazy because if you look at the Cajuns, that RPI number is like right there, and they have a very good opportunity to get a very good win there if they can just keep it going and stuff like that. What do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Chief. I mean, I mean, I agree. I think they will lose against Virginia. They're, like you said, they're not a great road team. Um, just it's just that's just what they are right now. I'll say they only won 2 games on the road, lost 10. I really don't expect them to go to Virginia and actually beat Virginia. But going up to James Madison on the road, they should beat the James Madison team, who's right at the bottom of the Sun Belt. I mean, if they lose this series on the road against James Madison, I can't see this team even winning the NCAA not NCAA. I'm sorry. You see them even winning a Sun Belt tournament championship because they get in the big dance, and next thing you know they'll be on the road, and they don't stand a chance. So I think they have to. This is crucial for them having to win this series against James Madison.
So I think this is kind of something like the Sun Belt Championship Series, the tournament is going to be held at Lansing. And that is probably the biggest blessing that the Cajuns going to hope for this whole entire year. So if they manage to like not get that RPI up, they have that one shot at home in the tournament for them to make a Cinderella run and actually win it here. So I think that works out really well for them. That home field advantage. You got the 10th man behind you, trying to push you through the whole entire process there. That's gonna be something that's gonna be big, I think, with the Cajuns for this whole entire for that run through the tournament there. Because last year they went on the road, they kind of somewhat struggled there. So this team hasn't been very good on the road this year. So that is something that we have to look forward to and see how that home crowd affects this tournament run because they have to get enough wins. And looking at the schedule and who is coming up, and so let's look at it here, Jalen. So 22-17, 5-7 Sun Belt. If you're just joining us here, so just to look at this here, let me start pulling up the schedule a little bit more here. So we're kind of getting down to the Virginia James Madison. Virginia win would be huge, and LSU win would be huge. RPIs were great for both those teams here. So James Madison not doing very good here. You still got that 3 game series against Marshall, and you catch them at home. That is great. If you also get Coastal at home, and Coastal they're kind of around they're like a 500, yeah. They're like 21-19, 66 in Sunbelt. They're let me see. I'm gonna pull up their RPI real quick here. So Coastal's RPI, looking ahead to them is a 72 as we currently talk here. So that's in that bad range that I told you about the Cajun struggle again. So that is something that's not good in terms of what the records are showing here. Looking at Marshall, Marshall is currently leading the Sun Belt here. They're 10-2 and they're 29-10. So they've been able to play very well the whole entire year. I think that is something that you can look at and be like, okay, they're doing a very good job. So looking at their RPI, they're 25. So, and the crazy thing is, they're 0-4 and they're 500 against teams in the 26 through 50. The Cajuns are better in that 26-50 than Marshall is, but the key success to Marshall's RPI ranking and everything else, they're 14-3 against the 51 through 100 RPI team. So this is why this stuff's kind of crazy to me because it's like, okay, what's going on here? Then you got at South Alabama right after that. So do I think the Cajuns need to win out? I don't think they need to win every single series to get into regional play. I think 3 out of 4 is very something that could be there too. Looking at South Alabama though, if you pull them up here and look at their RPI, they're gonna fall. They're in that 1 through 50 range. So they're 46. So I think the series coming up that the Cajuns absolutely have to get wins in. I do think it's imperative for the softball team to win at James Madison because they're such a weak opponent. You can't afford to have their RPI drop you too much there because you might need that toward the back end of the year when you're playing Marshall and South Alabama. And then again, you might get on a deep run in the tournament and they might make it into that large bid maybe. It just depends on how the numbers fall out because that helped Cajun baseball a couple of years ago that they needed a big run in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, if you remember, Jalen, to get a low enough RPI to make the tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so what you think
And,
here?
even if it doesn't matter if you're a low seed or not, getting in the tournament is your goal. Anybody can upset anybody. You just never know.
Yeah, and they get on these Cinderella runs. That's why you gotta be in it to make a run, right? So I think that's the goal here. And there's only one, two, three. There's only 4 series left. So yeah, it's put up or shut up time. This is why it's like critical to like win these games here. I'm not saying to be a doomsday theorist or anything like that, but just the inconsistencies need to be fixed here. And I mean, you get after this one, like if you could take that one road series, that's going to help you out a lot. Unfortunately for them, they get South Alabama at the end of the year on the road, but it'd have been nice to close out 3 straight home series at home. But we'll see what happens. They did pick up the win against Troy there. I mean, they beat Texas State 2 out of 3. That UOM series, that really hurt, man. That was one that still a gut punch to me talking about it like 2 weeks ago. That one still stings, man. I never thought I would see the day with that one. Uh, but kudos to Monroe. They played good in that series there. So I think uh, I think they dropped Virginia. I just think Virginia's just too good. It's nothing about like it'd be great if they could win it, but Virginia would have to lose the game for the Cajuns to win it. They would have to commit a lot of errors, and Cajuns have to capitalize on errors. James Madison, I'm gonna go with the Cajuns winning 2 out of 3. I think they're gonna get like they've been so bad on the road that I think they eventually have to win at least 2 on the road here. Now against South Al, I don't think they win that series on the road against them. And the home series against Marshall and Coastal, anything can happen. That LSU game's intriguing because if they can win 2 out of 3 and beat LSU at home, which they should have beat them in Baton Rouge in the beginning part of the year, um, that energy is gonna be lighten them up and stuff. So I think that's gonna be a very good game for them to probably. That'll be a good one for them to win though too. That's what I'm thinking there. All right, Jalen. Anything else you want to talk about here tonight?
I think we covered everything, Chief. But like I say, everybody you stay tuning in to Raging Cajun baseball and softball. They're gonna get it together. They're gonna get it together. It's the end of the year. It's time to put up or shut up, and they want to be in the big dance. So
Yeah, we'll see how all that works for them there, and we'll see what happens. Thank y'all for tuning in here to this episode here of Fishbowl Sports, and I'm gonna see y'all here next time later on this week here, probably on Thursday, once everybody gets done playing here, and we'll see what happens there. So thank y'all for tuning in. Hope you have a great and wonderful day, and I will see y'all here next time here on Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.